The C major scale is the first scale most guitarists go through when learning the guitar, because it's a scale that helps you understand key principles on guitar like intervals and chords. Overall, once you learn the C major scale, you can create new scales from it and really improve your playing. Now, I know that the word scale might scare some people off, especially beginners, but you need to see the scale as a fundamental that will help you build and play melodies instead of just learning tabs by heart and being stuck inside of these tabs. In this video, I will explain how the scale is built, how to play it anywhere on the neck, and how it will help you understand a key principle, intervals. So just a quick disclaimer, there's gonna be a lot of information to process in this video, and I just want you to make sure that you take the time you need and come back as many times as necessary to fully understand everything that's mentioned. I've been playing the guitar for quite some time now, and for the last few years, I've been feeling quite stuck on my play. I was just learning song after song without really understanding anything. And when I decided to practice the guitar in addition to playing the guitar, I learned the C major scale and it unlocked everything. It was like I was rediscovering my instrument and finally understanding like my fretboard and my chords. So technically, what's a scale? Well, it's a sequence of notes that played in order will sound in a particular way and will help you build chords, voicings, and improvise. And so I recommend learning the C major scale first because it is the easiest to learn. It's a pattern you can apply anywhere on the neck, and a few tweaks of it will create minor scales, modes. Everything stems from the major scale. Now, first of all, I'm going to assume that you know that there are 12 notes in music going from A to G in a particular order, including sharps and flats. There are no sharps and flats between the notes B and C and E and F, because everything's fine. And so the first step to learning the major scale is to learn the sequence of notes that sound good together for the C major scale. It goes as follows: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we go back to C. Pretty easy, right? Now, if we take this sequence and add the remaining notes that weren't selected for the major scale, we realize that we skipped a few notes. Like for instance, between the C and the D, we didn't use the C sharp. If you want to apply the major scale to any notes on the neck other than C, it's best to see it as a pattern of distances between notes, and these distances are what's called intervals. To be more precise, intervals are like the distance between two notes in music, and so the scales are built on a pattern of intervals. And intervals can be either whole or half. An interval is a whole interval if we skip one note between two notes. Intervals that do not skip notes and are straight in order are called half intervals. If we look at the initial sequence going from C to C, and we apply this whole and half interval theory, then the sequence is rather as follows: whole interval, half interval, whole interval, whole interval, whole interval, half interval. By memorizing this sequence, you can find the major scale of any note on the neck because it's always going to be the same pattern of intervals. On the guitar, a half interval translates by sliding up or down one fret. A whole interval translates by sliding down or up two frets, because you skip a note, remember? So let's get to playing. Just grab your guitar and let's try to find the C major scale in two different ways. First, horizontally on one same string, and second, vertically in one area of the neck. If we apply this sequence to the C on the 5th string, 3rd fret, and we apply the sequence of intervals, we're going to go a whole interval, so 2 frets, then a whole interval which is 2 frets again, but then a half interval which is 1 fret, and then whole, and then whole, and then whole, and then half. Congratulations, it's that easy for the horizontal version. You just have to go down the neck and apply the sequence you just learned. So say we want to take any note on the neck, for instance, the F on the 6th string 1st fret, and we apply the sequence, it's gonna be the same. Now for a vertical playing of the C major scale, which is the most useful when you think about chords later on, we're going to focus on one area of the neck and trying to go down the strings, applying the sequence. If we start from the C again on the 5th string 3rd fret, the scale is going to be as follows. And once again, this shape applies in the same way anywhere on the neck. So if we take the A in the lower E string, which is on the 5th fret, you can learn the shape and apply it anywhere on the neck if you take into account that the B string is an exception. Let me explain. So for a reminder, the standard tuning on guitar is as follows: E, A, D, G, B, and E. Now if we go back to the theory of intervals, well, we understand that between each string there's the same number of notes, the same interval, except for the B string. The distance between the notes E and A is of 6 notes, because there's the E, the F sharp, the G sharp, and the A. Same goes for the distance between the A and the D. Same again for the distance between the D and the G. But when we go from the distance between the G and the B strings, there's the G sharp, the A sharp, and then B. Only 5 notes. And so the B string will force you to slide your pattern from 1 fret. So let's think about the initial shape I gave you. This shape will work if the first note of your pattern is on the 6th or the 5th string, because the B string will not be involved. But as soon as the B string is involved, you have to slide everything down 1 fret. Let's, for instance, start with a E on the 4th string 2nd fret. If we apply the pattern, it starts the same way. And when we reach the B string, we have to slide everything down 1 fret. Same thing goes for any note on the 3rd string. And so if we start by the C on the 3rd string 5th fret and apply the pattern, once we switch to the B string, we have to slide everything down 1 fret. And so everything is down 1 fret. We have to remain this way when we go back to the 6th string. And so that's it for the C major scale. What I suggest you do in order is to first fully understand everything that was said at the beginning regarding the sequence and the intervals. It has to be pretty clear. And the next step would be to start with the C major scale and write it down somewhere. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And then apply the sequence of intervals, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, on every other note in music, trying to find it yourself. After the note C, we have a C sharp, for instance. So if we start from the C sharp, if we go a whole interval, what do we have? If we go another whole interval, what do we have? And then we apply the full sequence, and we will have the major scale applied to the C sharp note. And repeat this exercise until you have all the 12 notes and their scales and their sequence written down. And once you have that on paper or on computer, try to find every single shape back on the guitar neck. I do recommend mastering the vertical pattern most because it's the one that will really help you understand and see chords differently. The last thing I want to mention is that all the notes in the sequence of a major scale have names. I guess that by giving those names, some of you might have figured why we're going to discuss major chords, minor chords, major seventh, minor seventh. It all stems from these numbers and intervals. So by the end of this video, you will have understood the C major scale intervals, which will later on help you understand chords and chord progressions and every variation related to that. And I suggest that every time you want to play the guitar, you practice maybe 10 to 15 minutes on scales. Just try to find the scale pattern everywhere on the neck, and it will come pretty naturally. And remember the sequence of wholes and halves, because the next video will talk about chord foundations and how you can build your own chords. So stay tuned, and in the meantime, make sure to check one of these videos. I'll see you around.